You're looking to really understand something, but maybe without endless hours of reading, right?
To get straight to the point.
Exactly, to cut through the noise and get right to the heart of it. And that's what we're doing today.
We're tackling a classic story.
Yeah, one you probably think you know inside out, Rapunzel. But we've got some really fascinating material here from Grimm's collection. And honestly, there are layers we need to peel back.
More than just the tower and the hair.
Definitely. Our mission really is to go beyond that familiar surface. We want to explore the real motivations, the surprising consequences, maybe uncover some insights from the text itself.
Following the whole arc.
Right. We'll start with that initial intense desire for the Rapunzel plan and what happens because of it. Then move to Rapunzel's life in the tower, how the prince finds her.
And then the big dramatic turn and how it all wraps up.
Okay, let's dive in.
So what really hits you first is just how incredibly strong the mother's craving is for this Rapunzel.
It's not just, I fancy some salad, is it?
Not at all. The text says she wasted away, looked pale and miserable. She genuinely believed, if I don't get any, I'll die.
Wow, that's intense.
It really is. And it highlights how these, well, seemingly small desires, when they become overpowering, can trigger huge consequences in a story like this.
Yeah, that level of desperation, it's what forces the husband's hand.
Yeah.
Right? He has to trespass. He's thinking about losing his wife.
And then, boom, he's face to face with the Zobrin, the sorceress.
And she's furious. That angry look, you feel the shift immediately.
It's not just about, a few stolen plans.
No, it's the violation. Her reaction, asking him how he dares steal my Rapunzel like a thief, it feels personal.
It speaks to, a sense of ownership maybe, and her space being invaded, and this leads straight to that really chilling bargain.
The child for the plants and forgiveness. It's unsettling.
And the husband, the text says he agreed to everything in fear. He's trapped.
What gets me too is the sorceress's promise. It will be well cared for, and I will look after it like a mother.
The irony there is thick, knowing what happens later.
And it happens so fast. The moment the baby's born, the sorceress is there, names her Rapunzel, after the plant.
And takes her away. Just like that. The deal is done.
It sets everything in motion, doesn't it? That initial desperate act, the fear, the bargain. It's the core conflict right there.
Absolutely. Taking the child isn't random cruelty. It's presented as a direct result of that first transgression.
So fast forward 12 years. We meet Rapunzel, described as the most beautiful child under the sun.
But completely alone in this tower.
No door, no stairs. Just one small window way up high, total isolation.
It's hard to even imagine.
And the only contact, the only way the sorceress gets up is using that famous line.
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair.
And the hair itself.
Yeah.
Described as long, magnificent hair, fine as spun gold.
And incredibly long 20 Ls. What's that like?
About 30 feet. Maybe more, like dropping it from a third-story window.
Something like that. It's this incredibly potent image, isn't it? The hair is her connection, her lifeline, but also the thing the sorceress uses to control her.
Yeah, it's both. Her link and her chain, almost.
Until the prince arrives.
Right, the king's son. And it's pure chance, it seems. He's riding through the forest.
And he hears her singing. The song is described as so lovely.
So lovely, it stops him in his tracks. He keeps coming back, drawn by the sound.
It's like her voice, born out of that complete solitude, somehow reaches out.
Yeah, Pekin.
And he's persistent. He sees the tower, knows someone's inside, but can't find a way in. He doesn't just ride off.
No, he keeps watching. And eventually...
he sees the sorceress. He hears the call, learns the secret words.
That's the key, isn't it? He figures out how to get in.
So the next day, he tries it himself. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair.
And she does. But her reaction when he gets up there? Pure terror.
Well, yeah, the text says she was terribly frightened when a man came in, such as her eyes had never seen before.
Imagine, your whole world has been just you and this one older woman, and suddenly, a complete stranger. A man.
But the prince, he handles it gently. He explains how her singing captivated him, moved his heart so much he couldn't find peace.
He connects with her through the very thing that drew him there.
Exactly. He doesn't, force things. He appeals to her feelings, that basic human need for connection she's been missing.
And it works. She starts to trust him. She even thinks, well, he will love me more than the old Frau Gotel.
That's a huge moment. She's realizing there might be something else, something better than the life she knows.
And she agrees to marry him. But how to get out?
They come up with a plan. A clever one, actually. the silk ladder.
Bring a strand of silk each time, she says, from which I will weave a ladder.
It shows planning, patience, hope. They meet secretly every night.
That must have felt incredibly dangerous, but also exhilarating.
The desire for freedom for each other must have been stronger than the fear, for a while anyway.
Until it all comes crashing down.
Yeah.
And it's Rapunzel herself who lets it slip.
Yeah, an innocent mistake, really. She just casually remarks to Frau Gotel.
Something like, "Say, how come it takes you so much longer to climb up than the young king's son? He's with me in a moment."
Oh, you can just imagine the silence after she says that.
The sorceress's reaction is volcanic.
Ah.
"Oh, you godless child," as she screams. "What must I hear from you?"
Total fury, total betrayal. I thought I had separated you from all the world, and yet you have betrayed me.
And in that rage, she does something truly brutal.
She grabs Rapunzel's beautiful hair, finds a pair of scissors.
And the text just says, "Rich, fresh, snip, snap," they were cut off.
Ugh. Just like that. That symbol of her connection, her hope, gone.
It's a violation, a reclaiming of control by the sorceress.
And then banishment. She takes Rapunzel, hairless now, and abandons her in a wilderness. Back to isolation, but this time it's harsh, desolate.
But the cruelty isn't over, is it? She keeps the severed braid.
Yes. That evening when the prince calls out,
"Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair."
the sorceress lowers the cut-off hair
Oh, the prince climbs up, expecting Rapunzel.
and finds the sorceress waiting for him, telling him the beautiful bird is gone, he'll never see her again.
His devastation must have been absolute. The text says he was beside himself with pain.
And in his despair, he leaps from the tower,
He survives the fall, but lands in thorns.
which pierce his eyes. He's blinded.
Just heartbreaking. Blind, alone, having lost everything.
And he wanders like that for years. Blind, eating only roots and berries, just mourning Rapunzel. It's a really bleak period.
Years of suffering. But eventually, fate, maybe, chance again.
He wanders into the same wilderness where Rapunzel was banished.
And she's there, living in misery, the text says, with twins, a boy and a girl that she'd given birth to.
And he hears a voice, a familiar voice, singing, perhaps.
It's her voice he recognizes. After all that time, all that darkness, he knows it's her.
He stumbles towards the sound. She sees him, recognizes him. Imagine that reunion.
She runs to him, weeping. And then the miracle.
2 of her tears fall onto his eyes.
And they became clear again. His sight is restored.
It's a classic fairy tale element, isn't it? Tears as healing, as purification, washing away the suffering.
He can see her, see their children. The ordeal is finally over.
And the ending is swift from there. He leads her and the children back to his kingdom.
And they lived happily ever after. Or long, happy, and contented, as this version puts it. A hard-earned, happy ending.
Definitely earned.
So, stepping back from this deep dive into the text, a few things really stand out to me now.
Like what?
Well, just the sheer force of that initial desire, the craving, and how it sets off this whole chain reaction. You know, consequences nobody could have foreseen.
Right. Small actions, huge impact.
And the story itself, it's such a mix, isn't it? There's real cruelty, real darkness, but also this eventual redemption and healing.
It covers a lot of ground emotionally.
Makes you wonder, what does that initial craving for the Rapunzel plant really mean? Is it just hunger or something deeper?
That's a great question. Maybe it symbolizes a longing for something forbidden, something just out of reach that becomes all-consuming when denied. Or maybe fertility, given she was pregnant.
Could be. And what about Rapunzel's isolation? How does being locked away like that actually shape her? And her connection with the prince when it finally happens?
Well, you'd imagine it makes her incredibly naive about the world, but also desperate for any kind of genuine connection. So the prince becomes like the embodiment of everything she's missed.
Which makes their bond instant and intense.
Exactly. Even though it starts under, let's face it, pretty weird circumstances.
And the roll of chance just keeps popping up, doesn't it?
Oh.
The prince just happening to ride by then,
Yeah.
finding her again years later in a huge wilderness.
Yeah, fate, destiny, pure luck. It plays a huge part in these stories. It suggests that even when things seem totally controlled, like by the sorceress, unexpected things can shift everything.
It really does give you a different way of looking at a story you thought you knew, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
If folks listening want to think about this more, maybe look into other versions of the tale, see if the motivations change or the ending.
Or just think about other stories with similar themes: isolation, longing, rescue. And the symbolism is rich, too. The tower, the hair.
For sure. Okay, here's a final thought to chew on, maybe. Could you, in any way, see the sorceress's actions, her possessiveness, Could it be viewed as a really, really twisted, distorted kind of maternal protection?
Ooh, that's provocative.
Right. Wanting to keep Rapunzel safe by locking her away from the world. It doesn't excuse the cruelty, obviously, but how does that possibility maybe complicate how we see Frau Gotel?
It definitely adds another layer. Makes her less of a simple villain, perhaps. Something to think about.